Hey Carolyn, I'm gonna go and fly my Learjet over to the off-grid property to make a YouTube video. I should be home this evening. Can you please tell the servants to lay out my tuxedo for the event tonight? Oh, didn't realize this was on. Well, I guess it doesn't matter now. The jig is up, the gig is up. I was caught the other day lying to you. I was told that obviously I live in a billion-dollar mansion. Well, there's my billion-dollar mansion right there. Oddly looks like a modern-day church, but you know, whatever works. And then I got all these servants around that take care of me. I just go over to the off-grid property. You know, this is, I'm not going to tell you the location that I'm at right now, but obviously I'm not in Missouri. I have to fly my Learjet to Missouri every day to go my off-grid property that I bought for $4,200 so I can make a video to keep you guys fooled. Here it is. I thought you'd be impressed with my, well, your view is 1/3 of 1 cent is what's paying for this. Your view cost 1/3 of 1 cent. And so my 85,000 subscribers, which I only get about 10,000 views, not much. Guess you've caught me. I don't know what I'm going to do with the YouTube channel now that I've been caught. But boy, I tell you, I mean, I wasn't just caught. I mean, I was completely exposed. So I thought I'd just go ahead and give it all up. So after my long flight, about 3 hours, I guess, I don't know. It's all a guess to me. I've made it to the off-grid property. This is a daily routine, obviously. This is something I have to do every day. And I got to set it up. Everything has to be staged in order for me to turn on the camera. Like this morning, we had to do the laundry and hang it up, so I had to get all that staged up before we came out here. And the kindling, you know, you got to get that staged up, and the chicken feeders, you got to get all that done. And then I got to bring the chickens out of storage every day. I got to put them out here to the chicken coop. You know, they actually have a nice little farm they live on. I got to go get them every day. It's a lot of work having to do all that. I tell you, it was interesting how I was caught. There's several things going on that got me caught. One of them was I said in a video that I drink coffee. Primarily water, but we drink coffee. And I was talking about addictions, and I said my main addiction is coffee. So this guy said, well, that's not possible. You say you live off-grid. Well, how do you have coffee? You can't have coffee on solar panels. And he's absolutely right. I mean, I only have 1,000 watts of solar. And especially in the wintertime, I just don't produce enough electricity to run a coffee pot, especially if you leave it on the burner. So, you know, you pour your cup, you leave a burner and on. And I said I drink 2 pots of coffee a day. So that's a lot of energy. And he's right, there's just no way I could power that. Now, of course, I only have a 1,000-watt inverter. And he obviously caught on to that. And then the generator is only 2,000 watts. So, I mean, it would just be way too much to have coffee. I don't even know how to explain this away, but one of the things that I thought of this morning, so I ran over to this store. I went over to Walmart, and I bought a couple items just to make sure that I could, and then I thought, well, I don't know, I've already been caught, so let me think about this. But regardless, one of the things that, I don't know why Walmart sells such dirty items, but this is called a percolator. It's a camping percolator. You can get them off Amazon. You can get a silver one at Walmart. So I ordered this one this morning from Amazon. It got here just in the nick of time. So I had to make some goofy colored stuff here so it looked like it spilt over onto the burner. I had to think this through. How do you keep the coffee warm? Well, in the wintertime, it's not that hard. I can leave it on the wood stove, and I could use that as an excuse that, well, in the morning I start the wood stove, so we have put that on there. But what about the summertime? What am I going to do about the summertime? I don't know, this ancient technology here, along with that ancient technology with the percolator, I'm hoping you guys will buy into the idea that we pour our hot coffee into this, and that gives us coffee all day. But I don't know, that's a pretty stretch of imagination how to make coffee. But, you know, it is what it is. I've been lied to before, so I understand what it feels like when you've been lied to by a YouTuber for nearly, what, almost 3 years now. It's funny how I really played this off pretty good. You know, like canning food. I always thought, man, how am I going to do that? But it just makes for a long day when we can food. I have to get here at 4:30 in the morning so I can start cooking chicken. Now, if you want to see some of my canned chicken, you can go to my channel, go to my playlist. In the playlist, you'll see canning. And I've got all kinds of different meats that I can. But I start canning about 4:30 in the morning. So I leave my mansion about, I don't know, 1 a.m., get on my Learjet and fly over here. I got a landing strip, you know, just down the hill here. And then I stored in this house, my tiny house here. Now, the tiny house only has wood heat, so I got to be careful that I don't stay away too long because I got to keep the house warm enough that that food doesn't freeze. So it's a challenge trying to get that 1/3 of a cent for my views. So the other thing that got me caught was the power line that goes through the property here. I'm sure you can see. Now, my excuse that I've always used why it's there is I have to keep an easement, and when you have an easement, that reduces the price of the property significantly. This property probably could have went for near $10,000, but I can't build anything on that easement. So that's my excuse, is I bought the property pretty cheap. But yeah, even the tiny house is obviously hooked up to electricity. Came over here, I tried to fool you before, but apparently what I do is when I get ready to make a video and I talk about the electricity is I remove the meter from the meter base, so it fools you to think I don't have any electricity hooked up. That's a little bit of a challenge because it's my understanding that they have to keep a locking mechanism here, and I always have to figure out how to get that locking mechanism on and off. I'm sure there's a law there that says you can't do that, but you know, these guys, they're pretty smart. They know everything about me and how I operate. The idea was, trying to sell that to you, was when we moved here, I liked the idea of having that there, is if something were to happen to me, I died, and Carolyn wanted to continue to live here, she could hire an electrician. I've wired the house up where an electrician could just basically plug this into the house. I tell you, it's been a real challenge trying to fool you, and boy, I'm always exhausted. I got real close to getting caught one time. I had these dark circles under my eyes. I didn't know how I was going to play that off, why I was so tired, because you know, I'm flying back and forth all the time. How am I going to lie to you? So what I came up with was I had a sinus infection, and I had to cure my own sinus infection with antibiotics. And then obviously I don't live off grid because I have neighbors. You're not allowed, I didn't know this. I really didn't. It was a shock to me that you're not allowed to have neighbors when you live off grid. I find that fascinating. It seems to me everywhere on the planet, unless it's out in the ocean, I guess, you have neighbors. Now, even if you had 20 acres, there's fences that separate you and the neighbor. Oh, and the road. You're not allowed to have a road by you when you live off grid. The mentality is you're supposed to have a horse, or you walk through the woods. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously I didn't get it right, whatever it is, because I didn't do it. Now, my thinking was, is if I wasn't hooked up to utilities, and this is the definition, if you Google it, the definition of off-grid, you don't have utilities hooked up, that's off-grid. But I guess the only way you can really be off-grid, according to these definitions, is go on the moon. But then I wondered, if I'm on the moon and I can see Earth, is Earth my neighbor? So I'm not really sure what off-grid means. I don't know. So no neighbors, no roads, no cheap properties, and no coffee. So all this was kind of building up that there was just no way I was going to be able to keep the ruse going much longer. I've done this kind of video before because I get this all the time. It's amazing how many people try so hard to find that you're lying to them. They want to know that it's not possible to live off grid in today's society. So they're so insecure and want to act like they're so manly that there's no way they can watch a video. Well, there's no way I could do that. And I'm a tough guy. I'm a know-it-all. If I'm a know-it-all and I'm a tough guy, how is this little skinny old guy, wimp, able to do it? Well, he's not doing it, obviously. So let's come up with this scenario in which he doesn't live off grid. And now I've had YouTubers actually make videos about me and say that I wasn't off grid because I don't live far enough away from people. Look, living off grid to me doesn't mean being away from people, isolating yourself from society. I mean, I'm sure that means something to someone, but everybody's got their own definition of off grid. I don't know. I get all these people who say that you can be a sovereign citizen in this country. And I guess that's what they're saying, that they're going to get their plot of land somewhere out in Arizona, in the middle of nowhere. Well, I've watched videos of people who live off grid in Arizona, and they are more on grid than I am. One of the reasons is water. I am self-sustaining with water. But in Arizona, you have to either get a really expensive well, it's like, I don't know, $20,000 a foot that you dig, with no guarantees that you're going to get water, or you have it tanked in, trucked in. Then you got to buy it. Well, if you're buying water, isn't that kind of grid-ish? I mean, I'm accused of that when I say I use propane to cook on. Well, that's not off-grid, and I kind of agree. I mean, if I got to go rely on somebody, self-reliance is what I'm trying to talk about. So if I want to be self-reliant, I have to figure out ways to, if something were to happen, an SHTF, I have to figure out how to get off propane. And I can easily get off propane. You know, Carolyn's got that little cooking area over there that she uses wood for. That's what all that kindling that she split up for. If you have this imagination that you're going to get somewhere in the world where nobody's going to bother you, it's just not true. I mean, all you got to do is watch off-grid channels, and everybody deals with neighbors. The neat thing is we don't. We live in an area where nobody bothers us. I don't know how it's possible. We put up the no trespassing sign, and it was like everybody just stopped bothering us. And if you're looking for something else where you're living off the land, and I don't know if all that's feasible. You know, building in the tiny house, I've been told you didn't build that tiny house by yourself. Somebody built the materials for you. These 2x4s were manufactured by somebody else. And if you're going to live off grid and you're going to build your own house, you have to cut down your own trees. Well, no, I don't. I built a house. I don't have to continue to buy things. This is going to last me the rest of my life. I just think it's insecurities of viewers saying, well, there's no way I could do what this wimp here is doing. So obviously the wimp isn't doing it. That was very high schoolish if you really think about it. I got that a lot in high school. Instead of just accepting that the skinny guy was a better athlete in cross country and track than the big football player, they just bullied the skinny guy. So if you'll click this up next box to take you to a video where I was talking about how the President of the United States approved our tiny house living off grid. So I hope I can inspire you to be a wimp and live your dreams. Thanks for watching.